Watch out to warn you, baby. If I put this on you and drive you crazy, yeah, I was loyal. Why would you betray me? All you try to do is fuck me and play me. Then it gets so frustrating, yeah. You be playing all these games and I ain't got time. You be out here like this nigga.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back live. Thank you for joining me with Conversations with Taz for the Sunday Sit Down. You know what? Let's jump right into things, y'all. There's a little controversy. Some of y'all know I've spoken about her on the show. There's a controversy surrounding Sacheen Littlefeather. Let's take a look at these two clips, and then we got some articles we're gonna get into. See you in 2 and 2.
Looking at me like you want my man. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Activist? Activist? Are you kidding me? Again?
Now, like I said, there's some articles that go along with this, so let's dive into it. Let's dig a little deeper than a few viral or semi-viral videos. Let's start with the first one. Oops, looks like I gotta read these directly off the screen. Thought they had popped up on here. Coming from the San Francisco Chronicle, Sacheen Littlefeather was a Native American icon. Her sisters say she was an ethnic fraud. Now, I see this happening a whole lot nowadays on social media where somebody comes out and tells their ethnic background and they have a relative or a couple of relatives come out and say, no, they're a fraud. But my thing is, with this situation, why you wait until after the woman is dead? But let's get into this article. You may not know her name, but you've probably seen the video that made her famous. In 1973, actress and activist Sacheen Littlefeather took the stage at the Oscars dressed in a beaded buckskin dress in place of Marlon Brando after he was awarded Best Actor for his role as Vito Corleone in The Godfather. Claiming Apache heritage, she spoke eloquently to a backdrop of boos of the mistreatment of Native Americans by the film industry and beyond. The blowback was swift and brutal. Presenters ridiculed her during the broadcast. She told reporters that John Wayne had to be held back by 6 security guards to prevent him from rushing the stage and assaulting her. Other people confirmed that. In taped interviews this year with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences shortly before her death, Littlefeather said that going on stage that night led to her being blacklisted from the entertainment business. As the decades passed, however, the calm dignity with which she conducted herself that night, easily viewable on YouTube, won over many critics and interviews she gave in the intervening years, describing a childhood of poverty growing up in a shack where she and her white mother were victims of domestic abuse and violence by her white mountain Apache and Yaqui, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Indian father, made her story a sympathetic one. As such, she enjoyed incredible public support when it was announced months ago that the Academy would finally apologize to her after nearly 50 years. The death of the Apache activist and actress, as she was described in her New York Times obituary earlier this month and in thousands of articles over the years, was mourned widely and uncritically. In one of her final interviews, Littlefeather told the Chronicle that she took the stage at the Oscars because I spoke my heart, not for me, myself as an Indian woman, but for we and us, for all Indian people. I had to speak the truth. Whether or not it was accepted, it had to be spoken on the behalf of Native people. But Little Feather didn't tell the truth that night. That's because, according to her biological sisters, Rosalind Cruz and Trudy Orlandi, Little Feather isn't Native at all. It's a lie, Orlandi told me in an exclusive interview. My father, who he was who he was. His family came from Mexico, and my dad was born in Oxnard. It is a fraud, Cruz agrees. It's disgusting to the heritage of the tribal people, and it's just insulting to my parents. Once again, my question is, why wasn't this said during her life? Because we know there was an infamous cigarette commercial with a gentleman that was touted as a Native man, and we quickly found out he wasn't. The Native man that was supposedly working with the Washington, at the time, Redskins, to say it was okay to use Redskins as their mascot. Waiting till somebody dies is a little skep, but here's another article coming from thedailybeast.com. Activist bombshell claim about Sacheen Littlefeather sparks fury. Now, this activist is a little problematic. But before I get into the problems with that, coming from the New York Post, activist makes list to bust imposters claiming to be Native American. They're coming for white lies. A list of allegedly fake Native Americans has begun circulating in tribal and academic circles, accusing 195 people of falsely claiming an Indian identity for personal gain. How do you start off with Native and then call them? I'm just reading the article. The alleged pretendians list is the creation of Jacqueline Keeler, a Native American writer and activist who has spent years busting fakers in politics and academia. Everyone on the list has made public claims through interviews and books authored, documentaries, and even in congressional testimony. They're also all monetizing their claims. These are not privately held beliefs, reads her introductions. We will release the names and findings of all those who are found to have no relation to the American Indian tribe they claim in the United States. See, once again, the use of that word. But like I said, I'm just reading this. But see, Miss Jacqueline Keeler has made some anti-Black, some very problematic statements. But coming from powwows.com, an opinion piece titled "The Real Problem with Jacqueline Keeler's Alleged Pretendian List." How can you tell if someone is Native American? You can't. Unless a person shares their background and history, appearance isn't going to give anything away. Sometimes people exploit this by claiming Native ancestry. Sometimes family stories with no truth behind them run amok. Recently, there's been a lot of publicity surrounding high-profile cases of individuals falsely claiming Indigenous American ancestry while working in entertainment and other industries. In an apparent response to these incidents, Navajo and Yankton Dakota writer Jacqueline Keeler recently created an alleged pretendian list, a spreadsheet of people she thinks are pretending to be Indian. Now, before y'all come from my neck, remember, these are people she thinks. There's no evidence, there's no genealogy coming behind this, and she's one of the proponents saying that Sacheen Littlefeather was lying. Now, we all have lived through the whole Rachel Dolezal incident, which I still don't understand how Rachel Dolezal was able to pull the wool over Black people's eyes, even being face to face with them, pretending to be a light-skinned Black woman, or a biracial black woman. Like, but being on social media, seeing how people move and seeing how popularity grows and seeing how people want to be aligned with certain people, whether they're problematic or not, I'm beginning to get an understanding why some people just lean with it, rock with it when it comes to things like this. But once again, why wait until the person is deceased? Why, y'all, white people, and in the description of this video is a blog post talking about this in more detail. So I'm going to be very brief. You all pride yourself every Christian holiday season that you go to the problematic family member's house and check them. So if you have a problematic family member, it's all up in everybody's faces, pretending to be something they're not. Why aren't you calling them out? Like, are you receiving financial gain from them because of this? And then when the financial gain ends because you decide now to tell the truth for additional financial gain? Because that's what it's giving. I don't know. I am not indigenous. As far as I know of today, I do not have indigenous ancestry. I am still digging into my ancestry, but I'm saying as far as I know today, and I will say unequivocally, even if I should find some indigenous ancestry, I am not connected to it, so I am not trying to speak for or above the indigenous community. All I'm saying is the indigenous community, the Latinx community or Latina community, and the Black community keeps going through this cycle of people trying to fake it and make it. I can't even say fake it till they make it. They fake it and make it. And it's even getting an uptick within the Asian community. Yeah, chica, I know about your indigenous history. I'm just speaking on mine. And my thing is, I'm like, if you see somebody grabbing the spotlight, taking the spotlight away from somebody who's truly in that community and making profit off, why do you wait till they dead? Because that screams either they were kicking you down some stuff or everything is true and you don't want to fight the good fight with your kindred. But, it is what it is. But y'all, you know how we say that they're starting to say the quiet part out loud? I keep telling y'all you need to amend that. They've never stopped saying the quiet part out loud. Now they're just screaming it. Before y'all think, Taz, you're reaching. Take a gander at this.
That's like me saying, because I'm a Christian, I find it offensive that you would accuse me of being a racist, homophobic, a bigot, a murderer, a rapist, anything, as if because I'm religious, I couldn't be guilty of any of those things. And it's ironic because looking at human nature and looking at myself, not only am I capable of all of those things, but I've actually been guilty of many of those things.
When you make Christian nationalism the center of your party as it's splitting, we already knew this. We were waiting for you to have that confession time. That's what we were waiting for. And you did. We already know that you all molest children. That's why you all fight to lower the age of consent and the age of marriage. This is why you use so many smoke and mirrors and sleight of hand. And you want to blame the LGBTQIA plus community for grooming. But y'all don't even want to teach proper sexual education, because if you never teach someone what a healthy sexual relationship is, you can tell them it's anything. You can do whatever you want to them. But I keep telling y'all, they're not saying the quiet part out loud. They're just screaming it now because they never stop saying it. But y'all, we got some Trump updates. There's 2 videos, one regarding his plane being on the ready and one with him still believing that he's the POTUS. Because, that's the only time you get immunity from certain things. Like, he's no longer a diplomat. And after a conversation I had this week while out, when I was told to go out and touch grass, y'all know who I am. So you knew I was going y'all should have known that a racist was going to try me and I was going to school a racist. But let's take a look at these 2 videos and we're going to talk about them on the other side. So see you in 2 and 2. Sit back, pay attention.
Folks, with Donald Trump being subpoenaed by the January 6th committee, Tristan Snell put out this tweet recently, breaking. Donald Trump's 757 plane has been spotted on the tarmac in West Palm Beach. It had been undergoing repairs before this. A 757 has a flight range of over 4,400 miles. The internet is suspecting that someone might be a flight risk? And the best part about this tweet is the fact that the plane had been undergoing repairs. Who do you think paid for those repairs? The base that he has been grifting, telling them that the money was going to save America. It went to save his plane for his Big Macs and his buckets of KFC chicken. Oh, and it also went to pay his lawyers. But listen, I digest. There is literally concern about a former president fleeing the United States of America because they have been subpoenaed by Congress. What? Republicans still stand by this twice impeached, twice popular vote losing, 1-term disgrace of an ex-president. That's why we need to vote Republicans out in the midterms this November by voting blue down the ballot. Get your friends and your family to vote blue too.
Donald Trump is a colossally, historically stupid person. Donald Trump believes he has absolute immunity from all claims. He is being told right now by a federal judge he absolutely does not have absolute immunity. A federal judge on Tuesday denied ex-President Donald Trump's bid to dismiss 3 lawsuits brought by police officers injured in the January 6th riot, rejecting his assertion that he is absolutely immune from the claims. The lawsuits, brought on behalf of 4 U.S. Capitol police officers, seek to hold Donald Trump liable for emotional and physical injuries they sustained when a pro-Trump mob stormed the Capitol and disrupted the electoral vote count. He wanted them to go up there to ensure that the vote count was to be delayed so they could send it back to the states and then have the fake electors sent in their stead. In the process, hundreds of officers were injured. Some lost fingers. Some lost their lives.
Now, remember about between 9 to 12 weeks ago, I showed y'all a series of things from Truth Social where Trump and his boys, Eric and Donnie Boy, were talking about, you got to send this in. And then more recently, excuse me, they were putting timelines like the time is now. We're under a deadline. You need to send in money now. And I kept telling y'all there's a reason. Trump tried to give the January 6th committee an ultimatum saying that, yeah, I'll come in and testify if you broadcast it live, because he knows he could invoke another self-coup. And if you follow the Monday series and you know what a self-coup is, if you don't, excuse me, Google is free. And he knew he could do that, because most of the candidates that he's endorsing are receiving gifts from the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, 1776ers, all of those. So yeah, he's screwed. And then additionally, him thinking that because he was once president, that just makes him a lifelong diplomat. No, you get Secret Service protection because there are certain things that, yes, former presidents will be kept abreast of. There's certain information that, I mean, he is the president before the president that we have currently. There's some information, there are some briefings that he would have been privy to, whether he allowed himself to be privy to, because we know he downsized a lot of stuff and pretty much made it a pictorial menu that, you know, should somebody break into his house and hold a gun to his head, he would give up those secrets. And as I reported for a couple weeks in a row, there were Russian spies at Mar-a-Lago hobnobbing with him. He was already compromised when he was running for president. He is severely compromised now, especially since Deutsche Bank has been raided and the homes of individuals who worked at Deutsche Bank that authorities believe they were involved in fraud. So, yeah, you don't have lifelong diplomatic immunity. Because this is also where he messed up in his sexual assault case with E. Jean. Because he was spewing bullshit about the case and denigrating and downgrading her and disrespecting her while he was president, because he was protected. You know, you can't just sue the president, as much as Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert try. Whew. But sweetheart, you're no longer in office. You're a private citizen. Now you're afforded extra security because, you know, but if you break the law, you break the law. So, but speaking of January 6th, you know how all of us were like, what happened to the Back the Blue crowd? All these officers are dying, being assaulted. Where's the Back the Blue? Where's the thin blue line? Because now there's an influx of these flags and t-shirts and all this stuff. Maybe it's because even the blue wasn't back in the blue. Not sure what I'm talking about? Y'all know I got it for you. Take a look.
So y'all keep saying back the blue, but what happens when the blue is not even backing themselves? Literally. This man right here is a Capitol police officer, or should we say former Capitol police officer, because on January 6th, he decided he was going to join a bunch of insurrectionists and attack his own fellow officers, people that he worked with for 25 years. Gave it all up for a lie from Donald Trump. Went out there, not only watched his buddies get attacked, but helped. Entered the Capitol when he wasn't supposed to. Now, he's getting ready to head to trial. And you know what's even more messed up? He didn't even retire right away, right? He kept working for a whole nother year with the same people that he not only let and watched get attacked, he helped. He helped attack these people. He didn't retire until October 2021. Like, how do you work on a force where you can't even trust your own people to have your back? The blue isn't even backing the blue. I don't know. Y'all do what y'all want with that. That's fucking disgusting, bro. I wouldn't even work at my job if I can't trust the guy next to me to be able to, you know, have my back and be able to help me. My job ain't life or death like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't fear no one coming there and attacking me. And y'all do what y'all want with that.
See, this is why members of the BIPOC community say that taglines like all lives matter, white lives matter, blue lives matter, back the blue are just smokescreens, just responses to Black Lives Matter. Because these people go home. The people surrounding them know their thoughts, know their hearts, know their views on the world and those around them. You cannot take a profession that started off as slave catchers and expect there to be no racism. This is why they're so highly protected. See, the community helped to fight for them to have the police union and for them to be able to, don't cross the blue line. We got the blue flu this month. But they won't work with Amazon and Starbucks employees to get unionized. Now, before we get into a major issue that some of y'all, most of y'all won't, if you've been following me for a while, will be shocked is on ballots on in far too many states in the United States. But if you live in Arizona or Georgia, please pay attention to these next two videos. Please pay attention to these next two videos. And I never thought in my lifetime I would have to say this, but as you vote, regardless of how you vote, stay safe and stay protected. Take a look at it. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Well, guys, the voter intimidation has already started here in Arizona. We've got some people sitting outside of the Maricopa County drop box in Mesa, Arizona. Now, I'm going to show you a photo of these folks, and you tell me if you think that they're liberal or conservative, okay? What do you think? Now, imagine you're driving up to the drop box, you've got your ballot in your hand, you're excited, and you see Tweedledee and Tweedledum here sitting outside waiting for you with tactical gear on and face masks so you can't see who they are. Just chilling, watching, no big deal. Like, look, I'm a veteran, and if I pulled up and saw that, I'd be like, really? I don't know about that. So here, check this out. There's actually a list that if you see something like this going on, you can call someone. So I'm going to step out of the way, let you screenshot it. Bam, there you go. So if you see anything, call somebody, okay? As always, much love. Keep fighting. Let's win these elections because way too much is riding on it.
If you are from Georgia, watch this video, because y'all might have a problem. I came across this article from The Guardian headlined, "Early voters in Georgia face obstacles under state's new election law. Unlimited challenges to eligibility and poorly trained poll workers cause frustration in key gubernatorial and U.S. Senate contests." To get into the article, and to summarize this top half here, there's a woman named Jennifer Jones, and she was going to cast her ballot early, and she was super excited to do so. However, when she reached the check-in station at the polling site, she was informed that she would be unable to cast a regular ballot because her validity as a voter was challenged. "When I handed in my ID, the poll worker said I was being challenged," said Jones. "They said I had to complete a provisional ballot, but I wasn't really comfortable doing that, so I didn't get to cast my ballot that day." To explain what exactly this new act is, and this will be a mouthful, so I do apologize if I stutter or stumble over myself or anything, but under the state's new Election Integrity Act, Georgia citizens can challenge a voter's eligibility on the state's voting rolls an unlimited number of times. Right-wing groups, spurred by baseless claims that the 2020 election was rife with voter fraud, have mounted thousands of organized challenges across the state, putting even more pressure on the election process for voters, poll workers, and election officials. While most have been dismissed already, more challenges cropped up ahead of early voting. God damn it, I almost read it perfectly. Forgive me for that, if you will. You know what, as an apology, I'm gonna wear the chowder hat. In most cases, voters like Jones don't even know why their status is being challenged in the first place, causing even more confusion. "The poll worker didn't tell me why I was being challenged, even after calling someone else for assistance," said Jones. "They just kept telling me I would have to vote with a provisional ballot." Georgia voters turned out in record numbers for the first week of early voting, casting their ballots in the two critical elections, the gubernatorial and Senate races. In other words, these people need to fix this fuck up here, like ASAP. Now, Jones went ahead and contacted an organization called Fair Fight, and if you don't know what Fair Fight is Fair Fight is a national voting rights organization based in Georgia, which has used grassroots campaigning since its founding to educate voters on the resources at their disposal each election season. When Jones called Fair Fight, the organization connected her with Helen Butler and the Election Protection Project. If you want to go look up the article yourself and finish it, then feel free to, but essentially Miss Jones told Helen Butler what happened, and Butler was very surprised that they wouldn't allow her to cast her original ballot, and she believes that it all comes down to miscommunication and uninformed poll workers. Having said all of that, people from Georgia, if any of you are watching this video, be on the lookout for this shit, okay? Stacey Abrams needs your votes, y'all, and it seems like these people are going to try and make it as difficult as possible for you to vote for her. So when you go to cast your ballot, make sure you have all the necessary shit you need, you know your rights, and you reach out for assistance if you need it. I'm not from Georgia, but I fuck with Stacey Abrams, and we cannot allow them to beat her because of this bullshit.
Let us not forget, around this time last year, there were people down the political middle that were going to different meetings of different sides of the spectrum. And there was cell phone footage that came out. And a lot of conservative Republicans were encouraged to either lie for voter fraud, to be able to vote multiple times, or vote in areas that needed their vote more than others, or to volunteer to work the polls to do things just like that. This isn't poor training. This isn't a misunderstanding. Let us stop allowing these bullshit excuses to reign supreme. I said what I said. Now, I'm not going to tell y'all where I will be stationed, but for elections where I am at, I am a volunteer through a certain, actually 2 different organizations. I have a multitude of shifts. What we've had to learn, what we've had to go through, they wanted this woman to have a provisional ballot so that they could find a reason not to count her provisional ballot. Just like the video you heard before that. And it's not just in Arizona where people are sitting in the back of pickup trucks or staking out drop-off points. Let's not forget, I know my original TikTok account is gone, but I posted a video where they went so far in Texas to create a store and make people think that they could drop off their ballots in that store. So who was stealing? Who was trying to steal the election? But like I told y'all, there's some other things on some ballots that y'all need to be aware of. Coming from the Associated Press, slavery is on the ballot for voters in 5 U.S. states. I've been telling y'all, slavery has never been abolished within the United States, and a lot of y'all like to try to argue me into ancestry regarding this. But it says, more than 150 years after slaves were freed in the United States, freed is used very loosely in this article, voters in 5 states will soon decide whether to close loopholes that led to the proliferation of a different form of slavery. It ain't a different form of slavery because we see articles every other day where prison inmates are being leased for work outside of the prison or work within the prison. You cannot lease a person. You can only lease property. And when you're saying lease and a person, you're viewing that person as property. Therefore, it is still slavery. And given that we have the school to prison pipeline, baby, chattel slavery never died. But I digress. Forced labor by people convicted of certain crimes. Yeah, that's what the amendment was. It just said you could no longer be born into slavery. But if you were indebted into a person, but I digress. None of the proposals would force immediate changes inside the state's prisons, though they could lead to legal challenges related to how they use prison labor, a lasting imprint of slavery's legacy on the United States. No, they can't, because most of the prisons within the United States right now are privatized. And we know how Black people and people of color, period, the whole BIPOC community has been treated at Tesla, and they couldn't shut that shit down. The effort is part of a national push to amend the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution that banned enslavement or involuntary servitude except as a form of criminal punishment. What did I tell y'all? That exception has long permitted the exploitation of labor by convicted felons. We're going to stop right there, because it's not just exploiting the labor of convicted felons. Okay? Let's call a spade a spade. It also allows bill collectors to threaten people to a certain level. It allows personal debt to allow people to invoke that they have ownership over the person who is indebted to them. Because constitutionally and legally, that is so. So nothing was abolished. See, words have meanings. And it's time to start using the meanings of words, and us stop acting as if these words don't have the meanings that they have. And we just brush it over and we're like, oh, well, I've been so used to it. That's how it's been my whole life. Because you're ignoring the education that our forefathers and foremothers fought for, died for, incurred incredible disabilities for. But like I said, y'all not ready for this conversation. When you're ready, I'll be here. But if you haven't heard of the Passport Bros, they're a collection of men of all demographics, but Black men have really joined this trend and gotten very vocal about it. But see, all these men think that, I shouldn't say westernized, Americanized women are too difficult to deal with because we have standards and we require you to do more than use us as a sex doll and a maid, the help. That you could just peruse the parameters of our peripherals all on your own with no pushback. Well, baby, they're learning. They're going to get got. That there are women in other countries that, they have red light districts for a reason. They have geishas for a reason. They're taught how to woo you at all your cash. And if they can't woo you, they still gonna get you. Take a look.
Woo, it's dangerous to be a passport bro, man. So what you seen right there is basically a passport bro that was staying in Colombia, and he had a special kind of night, with two ladies, and they hit him with the slip and dip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They hit him with the slip and dip. So, they affected one of his beverages some type of way, and they end up taking all his stuff, and you see how they peeled in the elevator, so it's crazy out here. Passport bros, you know what? I think the passport bro, y'all need to make a new anthem. Y'all need to make an anthem called Slip and Dip. Hey, slip and dip, better not trust no bit. Hey, slip and dip, boy, better keep you a stick. Hey, slip and dip, boy, hey. I'm just saying, cause this is crazy, yo. It's dangerous out here for them passport boys, man. Y'all gotta tighten up, folk, because they sharks out here. I told y'all they sharks out here. Y'all better tighten up.
See, for the men with this mentality, and you think that a woman being upfront with you, going and telling you what she expects, what she requires in a relationship, what she is willing to give, and she asking you the same, and because you don't understand what requirements are, because you've been window shopping the relationships in your families that happened over decades where women didn't have the rights and privileges that we have today, and you didn't realize that grandma was on your third granddaddy, and grandma put it down on granddaddy and was like, look, if I left husband number 2 to come over here with you, this is what you gonna do for me. See, y'all didn't catch on to that, and you're not realizing that we learned the things that we do, and we have the mindset that we have because of those women that you idolize for putting up with bullshit, because y'all excuse ain't shit men. But then you think because you go to another country, because the United States has convinced you that country is poorer than us, is less educated than us, that you're going to get a woman that you can just boss all around. Baby, it's the dumb for me. It's the dumb for me. You're getting swindled so easily. Money gone there. Money gone there. Y'all gonna learn. Y'all gonna learn. First of all, you know what, man? Let me explain something to you. If you ever thought that you were in control of a relationship, either you were completely abusive or completely in the dark. Because when you think you done got a woman, baby, no, she done already plotted on you. But let's keep it going with the relationships. Here we go. Take a look.
What do you think the issue is with modern dating? Women aren't realistic and they provide nothing to the table. They are too busy focused on money and not morals.
Okay. What are some things that you bring to the table?
The whole table.
As a man, give me specifics.
Shit, man. I got morals. I got money. I'm fun. Everything, bro.
Everything. Okay.
I am the table, man. Listen, when you're the table, you don't have to fucking advertise the table.
It's the contradictions for me. He says women are too focused on getting money that made them lose their morals. Yet he's a man and he has money and morals, which I guess means that he can multitask and women can't. So that makes him the table. Here's
the thing. Men who think like that are men who try to lead with their wallet and get disappointed when their wallet does not stack up to the caliber of woman that they want. Because if I've already kept myself up to a certain standard, I'm not going to lower it to make you feel better. And your manhood and your masculinity shouldn't be contingent upon what I can do for myself or what I choose to do for myself. Because the men who always want to call a woman gold diggers don't have any gold for anybody to dig. Because trust me, in my 45 years on this planet, when a man got it, he don't say none of that shit. He don't say none of that shit. The only thing he says to you is, why are you pulling your wallet out? I invited you out. I asked you to do this. I set this tempo. So I will sustain this tempo. And then for those that go, but Taz, a man will take a woman on the come up, but a woman won't take a man on the come up, because a woman will actually fulfill her come up. A man that keeps telling you he's on the come up is never on the come up. He's a hobosexual. He just wants to be taken care of because his mama done coddled him his whole life. If you don't believe me, Go argue with your mama and your big mama. That's why the vast majority of billionaires, guess who they go for? Black women. Now, intellectually, are they on the same platitude? If you were to, test them, talk to them, yes. Do they always have the same level of degrees? Nope, because we know about disenfranchisement. We know that until Black people started creating HBCUs and having the ability to enter PWIs, there wasn't tuition, or tuition was minimal. Like basically you were just paying to stay on campus. Now they nickel and dime you for everything. I'm waiting them to charge you for every breath you take on campus. But trust me, I had a relative convince me like, oh, your soulmate might be this guy, this blue collar guy. And I gave a guy a chance. And let me tell y'all real quick, one real quick story time. There was a guy, he was broke as fuck, but was trying to pretend not to be broke. Oh, I got 1,000,001 stories. If y'all want to hear about them, I can do a series. But here we go with this one. And he wanted to go to a restaurant that it was his favorite restaurant, pick up a sandwich. I had never been to the restaurant. And he was like, well, I want to go get a sandwich. I'm like, okay, well, you just taking me home, like to go get your sandwich. No, you got to get something to eat with me. I don't even know if I'm going to like anything here. Like, and we're not having a sit down experience. So if I take a bite and don't like it, they can't remake something else for me. Like we've already left the restaurant. So I'm like, okay. Now, I walk into the restaurant with him to place the order side by side. I see the menu board. I see the prices. He orders for the both of us. He pays. Mind you, I had paid for the gas for him to come pick me up and take me home. Paid for a pack of cigarettes for him. There's a store at the corner of where I was living at the time. He pulls up to, you gonna go get that $10 for me for the sandwich? First of all, homie, my sandwich wasn't $10. But you know what? I'm not going to argue with you because if you that hard pressed, but then you going to catch an attitude because I don't stay with you and I continue to do what I'm accustomed to doing. Talking about I'm emasculating you. No, I'm not. And I'm a rude motherfucker. If I wanted to emasculate you, I could. But in more relationship news, I don't normally do pop culture, but it did occur over the weekend. So let's talk about it. And I think this leads to a bigger conversation. If you don't think it does, just go with me to the end. Coming from theinsider.com, Travis Scott denies cheating on Kylie Jenner with a woman rumored to be his ex. I don't know this person. Well, I mean, technically he's not lying because from everything I've seen, Kylie Jenner is the side chick and fighting hard to publicly and privately win him over. And she thinks that a gang of babies, like a traditional ghetto ass baby mama would think. But Travis Scott denied cheating on his girlfriend, Kylie Jenner, with a woman rumored to be his ex-girlfriend. But wait a minute, didn't they do a whole Vogue spread where they said that they were co-parenting, but they weren't in a relationship and you don't have to be in a relationship to have a healthy, happy family? Pick a struggle, Kris Jenner, when you're making these PR blitzes. But I digress. On Saturday, the Astroworld rapper addressed the speculation with 3 posts on his Instagram stories. According to BuzzFeed, rumors sparked this week after Instagram model Rosine Carr, who was previously linked to Scott in 2019, shared a video featuring Scott working on set to her private Instagram. So first of all, this woman has known him since 2013. Every time he travels, she's there. There has been confirmed instances that Kylie and her have been in the same place. But I want y'all, take Kourtney Kardashian Barker out of the equation because they did her dirty. They always do her dirty because she don't buy into the plastic surgery, fake faux pas. I got to buy my kids everything and had them all over social media 24 hours a motherfucking day to get a motherfucking check. So we're going to take her out of this. But the rest of them, they turn their entire style, their entire personality traits into the person that they're with. They don't truly believe that they're worthy of actual love. They just go for somebody who's grabbing headlines at the time and they rock with them. Don't think I'm reaching. Go back and look at their history. That's why these women do this. Look at their mother. Look at their mother and who she's bounced around to, and because now she's the name that makes the money. She done got her somebody that she can treat the way that she perceives that she was treated. But I'm like, sweetheart, you was cheating from the rooter to the tutor to keep trying to have come-ups ready and waiting. You just got to an age and a level that you can't bounce around the way that your daughters do. And you put in their minds that if your online persona, your public persona is so perfect, then you're good. Because look at how Kris Jenner played the victim when Caitlyn Jenner came out. We already knew she knew. Go back and look at some of those episodes. She knew what was going on. She just thought she could persuade him to hide it for a check. And that's when she became financially abusive. But see, the Kardashians, people are like, oh, they're influencing this. But no, they're influencing this relationship culture online. They're influencing this family culture online where everything seems so perfect. And then when things blow up, everybody's like, oh my God, I'm so shocked. Look at what happened to the Try Guys. And I'm not speaking on all of the Try Guys, but there was one who made their family and their marriage, their whole personality traits, and everything was so cultivated and so pushed towards that. And they think that, just like the ghetto ass baby mamas, the more babies I had with him, he can't leave me. Anybody can leave anybody, baby. Kardashian girls. We ain't even gonna talk about the Jenner girls. Kardashians. Your daddy had how many kids with your mama? And still was like, nah, this ain't working for me. I'm out. And that's the thing. The children that are a product of the relationships that they're trying to emulate, they've lived through this shit not working. The delusions that they put themselves under to perpetuate this bullshit is astronomical. But to close out, we're going to close with politics. Because like I said at the beginning, when you allow Christian nationalism into your party, you got to deal with some shit. So this is what the new GOP, not the Trumplicans, not the ultra MAGA hats, not the Maglicans, the new GOP that needed funding, needed new ways and new places to campaign. This is what they think of you. Let's roll it.
Why are we letting women teach us? Why are we letting women lead us? You know, the Republican Party seems doomed to me because while we're kicking on the Democrats, let's kick on the Republicans for a minute. Most of their recent candidates are women. Right. And I'm thinking like, okay, Joe Biden, bad. A woman politician replacing him, not better. You know, you kind of, like, people are thinking like, I hope Joe Biden dies, and it's like, Kamala. You don't even know what the next Pharaoh's like. This Pharaoh could be worse.
That was far-right Christian preacher Jonathan Shelley, and he represents an unexpected development in Republican politics. After years of declaring that women are inferior to men in every way, Republicans like Shelley are turning their fire on women in their own party, and that includes MAGA darlings like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Carrie Lake.
But I'm telling you something, I would never vote for a woman politician. I will not support a woman politician. Oh, Taylor Greene or whatever. Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a conservative. She's on InfoWars. She's a woman. She's not going to fix this country. You know, it's like this, I think in Arizona, it's like Carrie Lake or something like that is running for governor. And she's like, she's going to stand strong. And it's like, no. She's a woman. I don't care that she has a short haircut.
It's only now that many Republicans are realizing that by partnering with Christian nationalists, they've made a deal with the devil. And now that the far right is in control of the GOP, suddenly they aren't in the mood to compromise with Republicans they view as impure Christians. That could make a huge difference in November. And Shelley isn't just bashing women here. He also has some choice words for Republicans who support female candidates. And that includes Donald Trump, who Shelley indirectly calls a coward.
You know, and it's sick how many men today let women just run our country because they're too cowardly to stand up to silly women. Men are too afraid to stand up to AOC. Men are too afraid to stand up to Hillary Clinton. Men are too afraid to stand up to Nasty Pelosi. But I'm telling you what? We need men to stand up and say, get back in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. And you know what? Some pastors need to tell their wives to do that.
It's hard to tell how much of Shelley's act here is just a bad attempt at stand-up comedy and how much he really means. But that doesn't really matter to his followers, who agree with this nonsense wholeheartedly. And as commenter Dread Penguin notes, the worst part about this sermon is how many women are in the audience agreeing with Shelley. That's kind of worrisome. If you want to see something truly scary, there are actually Republican women running for office right now who agree with a lot of what Shelley is saying. That includes his nemesis Kari Lake, who proudly declares that women aren't equal to men and don't want to be.
We know that God did not create us to be equal to men. You know what? We aren't equal to men. Women are different than men. We don't want to be equal to them because we are not the same.
And if you think this kind of misogyny is limited to the far-right Christian nationalists, well, I have some bad news for you. This is an epidemic, and it's infecting Republican brains everywhere.
Whew, this is such a parfait to go through the layers of. One, no, he actually believes it because in my experience, I'm just going to talk about my experience. Men who spew that don't have any control at home. They will literally ask their wives or their mothers or their sisters everything. Should I do this? Should I do that? What do you want me to do with this? What do you want me to do with that? But get up. It's no different than an anorexic, where they say a lot of people become anorexic because that's the only control that they have in their lives. So they cosplay this control, this machismo, just like there's a gentleman on Twitter who immigrated here from Canada that's always talking about alpha males and this is how an alpha male does this and I'm such an alpha male. If you have to title yourself something and make commercials for yourself, sweetheart, you're not it. In my early 20s, when I got into sales as a beginning of my career journey, I was told your best asset as a salesperson is to never bring up your competition. Because even when you're denigrating the competition, you're causing people to think about your competition more than they're thinking about you. And then for Kari Lake, as a woman in politics, go, well, we're not. Then why are you running for politics? Because you're saying you can't do anything without your husband say so. And nobody's electing your husband. You're the one out here running. People are banking on you to represent them, and you're openly admitting that you can't. Very much so, Amy Coney Barrett. But y'all do with that information what you like, darling. Do with it what you like. I'll see y'all tomorrow to talk about the Insurrection Act of 1917. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Till tomorrow.
Say